Hello, my name is Nazeer from the Faculty of Civil Engineering Technology, and I will be demonstrating for you the factoring of the sum and difference of cubes. Now, when we look at the formulas that we're going to use, there are two formulas, one for the sum of cubes, one for the difference of cubes, and on the left-hand side of the equal sign here, I have the expanded form, and that is what is going to be factored to get the right-hand side. Okay? When you factor a sum or difference of cubes, it factors as a binomial and a trinomial. Okay, so always you're going to have a binomial and trinomial. When we look at the first part of this, for it to be factored as a sum or difference of cube, we have to have the first term, the entire first term cube, the entire second term cube with a plus or minus sign in between it. In this case, we have a plus sign. To get the binomial, in here I'm going to take the cube root of the first term, place it in the first position of the binomial. Cube root of the second term, place it in the second position of the binomial. I'm going to carry the sign. I'm going to work from the binomial now to get the trinomial. Okay? I'm going to square the first term of the binomial, place it in the first position of the trinomial. I'm going to take the product of the inside, which would be xy, with the opposite sign and place it in the middle term of the trinomial. Okay? I'm going to take the second term of the binomial and square it and place it in the second position of the trinomial. Okay? And that's how simple that is. The most tricky thing is to get the middle term. When you take the product of it, you have to remember to change the sign. And let's go and do the difference of cubes now. Again, the same procedure apply. I'm going to factor as a binomial and a trinomial, and I'm going to take the cube root, place it in the first position of the binomial, take the cube root of the second term, place it in the second position of the binomial. I'm going to carry the sign. Okay? I'm going to work from the binomial to get to the trinomial. I'm going to take the first term and square it and place it in the first position of the trinomial. The product of the inside, which will be minus xy, becomes plus xy for the middle term in the trinomial. And the last term, which will be minus y, is squared, and it's placed in the last position of the trinomial. So that's how that is done. It's a fairly simple process. Let's go and do actual examples now. When we look at this example, we have to ask ourselves, is there a common factor that could be taken out? And because of the 4 and the 5 right there, there's not a common factor that could be taken out of this. But let's see if we could rewrite this. Let's see if we could rewrite this as an entire cube term. So if I were to take 4, cube it, I'll get 64 x cubed. So that is entirely cubed. Okay, the bracket is on the outside. When we look at 125, well, 125, 5 cubed will give you 125. So I have it in the format that I could actually factor it as a sum and difference of cubes. Okay, I have it in that format now. Now, let's go and get our binomial. We know that it's going to factor as a binomial and a trinomial. I'm going to take the cube root of that and put it in the first position of the binomial. Cube root of the second term, put it in the second position of the binomial. Carry the sign in between them. I'm going to work from this position to get my trinomial now. I'm going to square this term and place it in the first position. The product of the inside with the opposite side. 5 times 4 is 20x, becomes minus 20x and goes for the middle term. Square the last term of the binomial and place it in the last term of the trinomial, which would be 5 squared is plus 25. And that's all there is to that. Let's look at a second example. Let's look at a second example. And I suspect that I could take out a 16 from this. And when I take out a 16 from that, I come up with r cubed inside the brackets and 27. Again, the r cubed, the entire first term is cubed, but this one is not cubed. It's just a number right now. Okay? Could we write it as a cube term? And yes, we could write it as 3 cubed. So let's go and do that. So now we have inside the bracket here, which is the expanded form, right? I could now factor that. Let's go and factor it as a binomial and a trinomial. I gotta carry the 16 with me. Gotta carry the 16. I'm going to take the cube root, place it in the first position of the binomial. Cube root of the second term, place it in the second position of the binomial. I'm going to work from this binomial to get my trinomial now. I'm going to square the first term and place it in the first position of the trinomial. The product of the inside, which will give you minus 3r, becomes plus 3r for the middle term of the trinomial. And then you square the last term, which includes the minus. It becomes plus when you square it, plus 3 squared. Okay? I have to go and simplify this a little bit or expand it out. And the only difference is that becomes a 9 and everything else remains the same. So that's basically what I have for you for this. Thank you. Bye-bye.